Hi, good morning to everyone. This is your favorite Kingdom channel, and today I want to continue the broadcast about Nigeria. Today I will be sharing on Nigeria's 7 cycles and the rebirth of a new Nigeria. Permit me to quickly read from the book of Leviticus, chapter 25. Leviticus 25, from verse 8. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years to you, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be to you 49 years. Then shall you cause the trumpet of Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall you make the trumpet sound throughout your land. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years to you, 7 times 7 years. I want us to know that number 7 is a prophetic and unique number of God. 7 stands for perfection, fullness, completion. And that was why, when God created the earth and all the elements on the earth, including man, in 6 days, he rested on the 7th day, which is called the Sabbath day. So, the unique number of God throughout the pages of the scriptures is 7. So, in this light, I'm going to be sharing about Nigeria's 7 cycles and the beginning of new Nigeria. It is an historical fact that the Republic of Nigeria came into existence or started on the 1st of January 1914 when Sir Frederick Lugard, the first Governor General that ruled over the Republic of Nigeria, amalgamated the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate. So, if we do that mathematics, we see that from 1914 up till this year, 2026, end of 2026, Nigeria has witnessed 16 7 cycles, 16 prophetic cycles. Okay, from here you can see 1914 plus 7 giving 1921. So 1914 to 1921 is the first prophetic or 7 cycle of Nigeria. 1921 to 1928 is the second, 7 cycle or prophetic cycle of Nigeria. And, if you continue like that, we will discover that the end of year 2026 you know, is the end of the 16th seven cycle or 16th prophetic cycle of Nigeria. Of course, uh, from historical facts, Nigeria was governed by 10 different governor generals who were British officials or British representatives. You know, they ruled Nigeria during the first 7 cycles from 1914 to 1960. 1960. And of course, Nigeria was granted independence on the 1st of October 1960, which falls within the 7th prophetic cycle, the 7th prophetic cycle. And again, as I emphasized in my last broadcast, a wrong foundation was laid in 1960 during the 7th prophetic cycle, because the election that brought in the first indigenous president of Nigeria in the person of Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, a man from the Sokoto Caliphate, became the Prime Minister of Nigeria because the parliamentary election of 1959 that was conducted by the British officials, the British representatives, was manipulated. That election was manipulated to favor a man from the Sokoto Caliphate because the British officials wanted a man that they could control, a man that they could manipulate. Because in 1960, the most educated region in Nigeria was the Western region and the Eastern region. So they deliberately handed over the leadership of the country at independence to the Northern region, that was not even ready, for independence. So that was a wrong foundation that was laid during the 7th cycle. And of course, another wrong foundation was laid during the 8th cycle. The 8th cycle of Nigeria is between 1963 to 1970. And of course, we know what happened in 1966. Okay, there was a coup d'etat in the country, and as a result of the coup d'etat, the most senior military officer in the person of General Agoyin Ironsi became the first military head of state of Nigeria, and he also became the second indigenous president of Nigeria. And he established 2 major decrees, which has laid a wrong foundation for the country. And up to now, the country is still suffering from the consequence of that wrong foundation. General Aguiyi-Ironsi um, used two decrees. The first one was called Decree 1 of 1966. This decree, um, you know, changed the judicial and executive powers into federal military governments. And again, the second decree, Decree 34 of 1966, abolished the federal system of government that was used between 1960 and 1966, and it changed it to a unitary system of government. The best government that Nigeria witnessed was between 1960 to 1966, because Nigeria operated a regional structure of governments. The western region, the eastern region, and the northern region, you know, the the rulers of each region, you know, was independent. It was just like what we have today in United Kingdom, where you have the England, the Scotland, Wales, and the Northern Ireland. Each of them had their own constitution. They manage their resources. They control their security. And each of them are independent. So that was the structure Nigeria ran with between 1960 and 1966. From 1960, but from 1966, that structure was abolished. That structure was collapsed into a unitary system of government where only the federal government at the center now began to control the security, the resources of the nation, control the security, manage the resources of the nation, you know, and that was the beginning of the fall of the Republic of Nigeria. And of course, we all know that as a result of that coup, there was a counter coup in 1967 when Aguiyi-Ironsi was killed, and General Yakubu Gowon became the third president of Nigeria in 1967. And as a result of that and other factors, there was a civil war from 1967 to 1970. All these wrong foundations happened within the 8th prophetic cycle. 8 is a number of new beginning. It was supposed to be a new beginning for the new nation, for the Republic of Nigeria. But instead, for Nigeria to witness a fresh beginning during the 8th prophetic cycle, a wrong foundation was laid for the Republic of Nigeria. Of course, another wrong foundation was laid during the 11th cycle. You can see the 11th cycle is from 1984 to 1991. Of course, we all know what happened in 1986 when General Ibrahim Badamoussa Babangida was the military head of state without consulting uh, the representatives of various ethnic groups and the regions of the country, even without consulting the Supreme Military Council. General Babangida single-handedly registered Nigeria as a full member of OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference, in 1986. And the implication was that Nigeria became recognized as an Islamic republic. That was one of the genesis of the uh, insecurity and terrorism that Nigeria is witnessing till today. Another significant event that happened is during the 12th cycle of Nigeria. During the 12th cycle of Nigeria, FCT Abuja became the capital of Nigeria on the 12th of December 1991. And this happened during the 12th cycle. And we know that number 12 is a number of governments. 12 stands for, governments, kingdom, in biblical and Hebrew numerology. So that is significant. So Abuja becoming the capital of the Republic of Nigeria during the 12th cycle of the country is highly prophetic. Again, during the 13th cycle of Nigeria, the Fourth Republic, with the introduction of 1999 Constitution, started during the 13th cycle. Of course, the 13th cycle is from 1998 to 2005. And as I have emphasized in my former broadcast, the production of 1999 Constitution as amended is a faulty document. Is a document that is not acceptable by all the indigenous peoples and ethnic groups of the country, because the even though the document in section 10 of the Constitution talk about secularism, that Nigeria is a country that has freedom of religion. Yet in the same Constitution, there are sections that describe the laws of Sharia. Sharia law, was discussed and inputted inside the 1999 Constitution, and there was no mention of the laws of other religion like Christianity, like Africa traditional religion. That alone has caused a lot of panic and doubts about the neutrality of the 1999 Constitution as amended. A people's constitution should not be biased towards any religion. If indeed Nigeria is a secular state, there was no need for for Sharia laws to be drafted into the document of the Constitution. This is still uh, one of the factors that is fueling the insecurity and terrorism that the country is witnessing today. Again, another significant um, cycle is the 14th prophetic cycle. And of course, we know that 14 is 2 times 7. 14 is a witness of perfection. Now, in 1914, Nigeria became 100 years. 100 years. And actually, in 2014, there was supposed to be a kind of round table discussion about the way forward for Nigeria as a country. There was to be a kind of debate that are we still going to move on as a country? If Nigeria will still be a country, then what are the new terms? Because as at 2014, there was a lot of insecurity in the country. There was a lot of ethnic bias. There was a lot of religious imbalanced, religious favoritism. So Nigerians and the indigenous people of Nigeria were actually tired of the country. Nigerians wanted a new nation, a new country with a new constitution that will be generally acceptable by every indigenous group and every region. So by divine orchestration, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan became the 14th president of Nigeria during the 14th prophetic cycle, because he became president in year 2010 after the unfortunate death of President Musa Yar'Adua. That was on June 2010, and you can see 2010 is within the 14th prophetic cycle. The 14th prophetic cycle is from 2005 to 2012. And of course, because of the tension over the country, the leadership of President Goodluck Jonathan came out with a document called the 2014 National Confab. 2014 National Confab, conference. And that document, provided a lot of way forward for us to have a better country. But unfortunately, the implementation of that 2014 National Confab did not see the light of the day because of the election of 2015, that was lost by Jonathan. And again, the next prophetic cycle was the 15th prophetic cycle. This is highly prophetic because President Muhammadu Buhari became the 15th president of Nigeria in year 2015 within the 15th prophetic cycle. The 15th prophetic cycle is from 2012 to 2019. So you can see 15, 15, 15. President Muhammadu Buhari became the 15th president of Nigeria in year 2015 within the 15th prophetic cycle. And that cycle brought another wrong foundation over the country, because in year 2014/2015, Muhammadu Buhari and the leadership of the APC party, which is now the ruling party, brought into the country bandits, Fulani terrorists across the Sahel, from countries like Mali, Senegal, Niger Republic, Sudan. They brought them into the country with the motive or with the aim to destabilize the government of Goodluck Jonathan in case he refused to hand over power to APC party. Well, the rest is now history. So from 2015, the level of insecurity and terrorism over Nigeria, skyrocketed. The state and the level of insecurity and terrorism went to the highest degree because of the importation of terrorists, bandits into the country by the government, by the leadership of APC party. And this set of terrorist organizations, terrorist groups, from 2015 have occupied strategic forests, all the strategic forests across all regions of the country, and they have been terrorizing the indigenous people of the country since 2015. Well, above all this and beyond all this, my joy is that because God Himself has a prophetic plan for Nigeria in the last days or in this end time, God had programmed it that the redemption of Nigeria, the rebirth of a new Nigeria, would actually start during the 16th prophetic cycle. And why is this so? The seventh trumpet, the trumpet of Jubilee, which is the message of perfection, the message of fullness, message of liberty, message of deliverance. The trumpet of Jubilee sounded on the 1st of October 2019. And this falls within the 16th cycle. 1st October 2019, the seventh trumpet, the trumpet of Jubilee, sounded not only over Nigeria, this is a trumpet sound over the whole world. Permit me again to read where I read at the beginning. Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25 from verse 8 and 9. Leviticus 25 from verse 8 and 9. And you shall sound, the trumpet of Jubilee on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement, you shall make the trumpet of Jubilee sound throughout all your land. And you shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land to all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee to you, and you shall return every man to his possession, and you shall return every man to his family. Hallelujah. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. The seventh trumpet, the trumpet of Jubilee, the trumpet of liberty, the trumpet of deliverance sounded over the nation on the 1st of October 2019. And this falls within the 16th prophetic cycle. And as God will have it, the present leadership of the country, in the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, became the 16th president of Nigeria. 16th president of Nigeria within the 16th prophetic cycle. The 16th prophetic cycle is from 2019 to 2026. And again, the seventh trumpets that sounded on 1st October 2019 is exactly 7 years. This October 2026. 2026. So by a prophetic arrangement, Nigeria was programmed to witness the beginning of a new country. Nigeria was programmed to experience rebirths, restructuring, starting from this year 2026. October 2026, seven trumpets, the trumpet of Jubilee that is sounded over the country will be 7 years. 7 years. 7 years. So I announce as a body of the New Jerusalem that a new Nigeria has already begun. A new Nigeria has begun. And to be sincere, I personally, and I'm also speaking for many people in Nigeria, we may not like the personality of the present president. But within 3.5 years that he has governed over the country, I want to bring our notice to physical signs that the foundation of a new Nigeria has started. Number one, the present leadership has introduced the state police bill. As a result of the insecurity, terrorism that has crippled the economy and stability of Nigeria, a lot of people, various groups have clamored and pushed for the establishment of state and community indigenous police to tackle the menace of insecurity and terrorism that has ravaged the country. But by God's grace, the present leadership has introduced the state police bill, which has now been passed by both chambers of the National Assembly. Is a step in progress. You know, the restructuring or the rebirth of the country cannot be done in one day. It's a gradual process. Number two, the present leadership, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has successfully decentralized the army training depots. Since 1960 independence, Nigeria has only one army training depot, which is located in Kaduna State. This is a center where new recruits into the Nigeria Army are being trained and prepared to serve the nation. For the past 66 years, Nigeria has only one, and it was in the northern region. But as of today, Nigeria has an army training depot in Oshogbo, in Osun State, from the western region. Nigeria now has another army training depot, in Ebonyi State, which is now serving the eastern region of the country. That is a work in progress. These reforms we are seeing during this administration has never happened for the past 60 years. No head of state or no president, was bold enough to implement these reforms. It is not normal. There is an energy that is higher than the one sitting on the throne in Aso Villa. There is an energy, and this is the energy of the seven trumpets. That is the energy that is now in control of the throne of Nigeria. God is the one seated on that throne. Forget about who is seated there physically. Spiritually, God is now in charge over the country. Number three, there is a planned introduction of 139,000 forest guards, to police Nigeria's forest. And again, there is a planned introduction of 42 states restructuring bill, that will change the current 3 tiers of government into 4 tiers of government, which will now be federal level, state level, local government level, and in addition, we now have the regional level. So if this restructuring are being implemented, to the fullest, it's a welcome development. But above all, as I emphasized in my last broadcast, a new constitution is needed for the country. A people's constitution that will be generally accepted by all the 6 geopolitical zones, that will be accepted by every indigenous people group. A constitution that will not favor a certain religion. A constitution that will be 100% secular and neutral. Even in the documents, it will be neutral and not be biased. A document and a constitution that every indigenous people can have an input inside. This will surely happen. Why? Because the 7th trumpet is sounded in this day of the Lord. The 7th trumpet is sounded. Deliverance has come for the country. Jubilee has come for the country. And from October 2026, it will only get better and better and better. I congratulate again every Nigerian. Many people have lost hope over the country. I want to assure you that God has a purpose for Nigeria in these last days, in this end time. God has a divine purpose for this country, and that's why Nigeria is still remains one. So once again, I declare boldly that a new Nigeria has begun. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a wonderful day.